I landed head first, breaking my neck, back, ribs, and causing a lot of overall damage to my body. I was alone in the dark, so I had to move myself a mile to find help. Had I not, I would have bled out. The hospital told my wife that I may never walk again. I was determined to not live with that prognosis, and I said, what can I do? What can I do? I don't care what it is. What can I do? And he said, just try and walk. That's it. That was the physical therapy. That was everything. So that's what I did, and it was gruesomely painful and difficult. And it started off just trying to walk to the bathroom on my own, and every little walk required 10 times as much rest as the walk took. But I would rest and I would walk and I would rest and I would walk, and it was an endless pace of doing this until I was using a walker to get to the end of my driveway and back, and then to the end of the block and back. 4 or 5 months later, I got a lot of the equipment off, and I was very weak, and that's when I said, well, I gotta keep this going. Walking isn't going to be enough, and that's when I went to the Neenah Menasha Y, which is just on the road to me, and I went and I talked to somebody there. The fall was in August of 2020. Memorial Day 2021, I said, I'm going to run a 5K. It was a Memorial Day race for a fallen Marine down in Fond du Lac, and I said, I'm going to do this. Not only that, I'm going to do it in my old minimum Marine Corps qualifying run time, which really isn't that much, actually. It's under 30 minutes in the grand scheme of things. And I did it. And in the fall, I ran the Fox Cities half marathon. I was setting these goals. And I ran that half marathon. And I was like, okay, well, what comes after that? Well, I guess a full marathon, right? So Cellcom Marathon 2022, boom, ran it. First marathon of my life. Finished it. Having that somebody there, having that place to go to was huge. Now that's not my story. That's the prelude to my story. Just a couple months before that marathon, I got a call that my son Clark, my oldest son Clark, who was living with his mom at the time, had taken a can of gasoline and went into the bathroom and lied down in the bathtub and doused himself in gasoline. And with the pungent odor of gasoline in the air, he lit himself on fire. He was in a coma for a while. He spent the next 7 months in the hospital. You can't tell from the pictures here, but basically the whole lower half of his body is burned. I think one of the things that we don't talk about enough with mental health, especially for our youth, is just, I think three things that are important to all of us: rest, nutrition, and fitness, right? I mean, this thing's connected to all of this, and all of that's part of that health. And one thing that I immediately did was focus, quantify. I'm a big techie nerd guy, and I got him a Fitbit, and we're tracking his sleep, and we're doing this, and it's like, look, lights out, we're going to bed at this time, we're getting up, we're eating healthy, we're going to track our protein intake, we're going to go to the Y. We started going to the Y 3 days a week. I started teaching him the basics of working out, and and that was tough for him at first. I think it's tough for any young kid. 13, he was 14 then at the time when we started going. It's an intimidating space, I think, when you're that age. So going there with your dad's probably a little easier to get in there. And we worked out, and he started feeling better. It's amazing. It's one part of it, right? It's not the magic bullet. It's a lot of other things, a lot of other people involved, a lot of other folks who deserve credit for that. But these past 6 months, there's been a huge turnaround. And these past 6 months have been the longest that he's gone in the past 2.5 years without having an incident. And I attribute a huge part of that is him and I going to the Y. I think it's just one of those things where when we talk about what does the Y provide, I think that there's this part that it's hard to quantify that fitness aspect affords to the mental health of all of us and to the kids. I'm grateful that the Y was there for me and for Clark. The universe delivers suffering unto us all at times, and it is natural to fear that darkness when it surrounds you. But you must say yes to this day, yes to this life. You have to say yes to joyful participation in the sorrows, and when you do, everything changes. The Y is there for me to say yes.